Hello, I'm Dr. Samuel Cross. If you're watching this, chances are you felt it. Heavy, dry eyes, a dull ache behind your brow, or blurry vision after a long day at the screen. This is digital eye strain, an epidemic of our modern age. But here's the good news. It's not permanent. Today, I'll share a science-based daily nutritional routine designed to restore and protect your eyes. We'll explore why screens cause damage, and then rebuild ocular health with targeted, clinically proven nutrients. In this first part, we'll cover the mechanics of screen-induced stress and the foundational compounds, macular protectors and tear film stabilizers, that form the core of recovery. Imagine holding a heavy dumbbell halfway through a bicep curl and just freezing there for hours. That muscle would burn, tremble, and eventually fail. That is exactly what is happening inside your eye, leading to that deep, aching feeling. The third stressor is a drastically reduced blink rate. Normally, humans blink about 15 to 20 times a minute. This constant windshield wiper action spreads a complex three-layered tear film over the surface of the eye, keeping it smooth and lubricated. However, studies from the American Optometric Association and various visual science institutes have shown that when we stare at digital screens, our blink rate plummets by up to 60%. We essentially end up in a staring contest with our computers. Worse, the blinks we do make are often incomplete microblinks that do not fully coat the eye. This leads to rapid tear evaporation, causing the stinging, burning sensation associated with dry eye disease. Now that we know exactly how screens break down our ocular defenses, let us talk about how to rebuild them. The first step in my daily routine involves building your internal macular shield. For this, we rely on two incredibly powerful nutrients, Lutein and Zeaxanthin. If you take away only one thing from this entire presentation, let it be the importance of these two compounds. Lutein and Zeaxanthin are carotenoids, which are organic pigments found in plants, particularly in dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, and in brightly colored flowers like marigolds. In the human body, out of the hundreds of carotenoids found in nature, Lutein and Zeaxanthin are the only two that selectively accumulate in the macula. The macula is the tiny, highly sensitive central area of your retina, responsible for your sharpest, most detailed vision. Think of the macula as the high-definition sensor in a digital camera. When lutein and zeaxanthin deposit themselves into the macula, they form something called macular pigment. This pigment acts exactly like a pair of internal biological sunglasses. Its primary function is to absorb and filter out high-energy blue light before it can penetrate deeper into the retina and cause oxidative damage. The science backing lutein and zeaxanthin is not just theoretical, it is foundational to modern eye care. The most significant proof comes from the National Eye Institute, a division of the National Institutes of Health in the United States. They conducted a massive, multi-year clinical trial called AREDS-2, which stands for the Age-Related Eye Disease Study 2. This study involved thousands of participants and unequivocally proved that supplementing with a specific ratio of lutein and zeaxanthin significantly protects the structural integrity of the macula and defends against severe cellular degradation. While the AREDS-2 study primarily focused on age-related issues, the scientific community quickly realized that the protective mechanisms apply perfectly to digital eye strain. By thickening the macular pigment, lutein and zeaxanthin actively neutralize the glare and visual noise caused by screen time, allowing your eyes to focus with less effort. Furthermore, these two nutrients are potent antioxidants. As your eyes process light, especially artificial light, they produce harmful byproducts called free radicals. If left unchecked, these free radicals cause oxidative stress, essentially rusting the cells of your retina from the inside out. Lutein and zeaxanthin act as scavengers, hunting down and neutralizing these free radicals before they can cause cell death. In my clinical experience, the vast majority of people do not get anywhere near enough of these nutrients from their diet alone. To get the clinical doses used in the AREDS-2 study, you would have to eat massive bowls of raw spinach every single day. Therefore, supplementation is highly recommended for anyone spending more than a few hours a day on a device. The golden ratio, proven by the research, is 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin taken daily. When selecting a supplement, I always advise my patients to look for products that source their lutein and zeaxanthin from marigold flower extract, as this has high bioavailability, meaning your body can easily absorb and utilize it. Because lutein and zeaxanthin are fat-soluble nutrients, you must take them with a meal that contains some healthy fats, like avocado, olive oil, or eggs, to ensure they actually make it from your digestive tract into your bloodstream and up to your eyes. Within about 3 to 4 months of consistent daily supplementation, patients typically report a significant reduction in light sensitivity, less glare when driving at night, and a noticeable decrease in end-of-day screen fatigue. The second pillar of my daily routine directly addresses the gritty, burning, dry sensation that almost everyone with digital eye strain experiences. To fix this, we must stabilize the tear film, and the absolute best nutrient for this job is high-quality omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. To understand why omega-3s are so critical, you have to understand that your tears are not just salt water. The tear film is a highly complex structure made of 3 distinct layers: a mucin layer that sticks the tear to the eye, an aqueous or water layer that nourishes the eye, and an outer lipid or oil layer. This top oil layer is the most important when it comes to screen time. It is produced by tiny glands lining the edges of your eyelids called meibomian glands. The purpose of this oil layer is to act as a seal, preventing the watery layer underneath from evaporating into the air. When you stare at a screen and stop blinking, the meibomian glands do not get the physical pumping action they need to express this oil. The oil thickens, the glands become inflamed and clogged, and your tear film loses its protective seal. The water layer evaporates instantly, leaving your eyes exposed, dry, and burning. This is where omega-3 fatty acids come in. Omega-3s are powerful, systemic anti-inflammatory agents. A landmark report by the Tear Film and Ocular Surface Society, known as the TFOS DUES 2 report, which is essentially the global Bible on dry eye research, highlighted the critical role of systemic inflammation in dry eye disease. When you consume adequate amounts of EPA and DHA, these fatty acids incorporate themselves into the cell membranes throughout your body, including the meibomian glands in your eyelids. They alter the biochemical pathways in these tissues, shutting down the production of inflammatory molecules called prostaglandins. By reducing the inflammation inside the eyelids, omega-3s allow the meibomian glands to open up and start secreting healthy, clear, fluid oil again instead of thick, inflamed sludge. This restores the lipid layer of your tear film, dramatically slowing down tear evaporation even when your blink rate is reduced during screen use. However, not all omega-3 supplements are created equal, and this is where many people waste their money. The form of the fish oil is just as important as the dose. Most cheap fish oil supplements on the market are in a synthetic form called an ethyl ester. The human digestive system struggles to process ethyl esters efficiently, meaning you absorb very little of the active nutrients. You must look for an omega-3 supplement that is in the triglyceride form. Triglycerides are the natural molecular structure of fats found in fish, and human bodies absorb them up to 70% better than ethyl esters. Look at the back of the bottle. High-quality brands will proudly state triglyceride form. For treating digital eye strain and restoring the tear film, the scientific consensus points to a daily dose of at least 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA. I typically recommend taking this dose split into 2, once in the morning and once in the evening, always with food. It is also crucial to ensure your omega-3 supplement is molecularly distilled and third-party tested for purity to guarantee it is free from heavy metals like mercury. It takes time for fatty acids to build up in your tissues, so consistency is key. Usually, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks of daily use before patients notice that they no longer need to rely on artificial teardrops throughout the workday. Beyond lutein, zeaxanthin, and omega-3s, there is a third incredibly potent nutrient that I consider the secret weapon in my clinical routine for reversing digital eye strain. It is a specialized antioxidant called Astaxanthin. While lutein and zeaxanthin protect the back of the eye, the retina, and omega-3s protect the front of the eye, the tear film, astaxanthin works miracles in the middle of the eye, specifically targeting the ciliary muscle that controls your focus. Astaxanthin is a red pigment produced by a specific type of microalgae called Haematococcus pluvialis. In nature, when this algae is subjected to severe stress, like a lack of water or intense sunlight, it produces massive amounts of astaxanthin as a survival mechanism, acting as a cellular force field. This is the exact same compound that gives wild salmon their pink color and provides them with the incredible muscular endurance needed to swim upstream against raging currents for hundreds of miles. In the human body, astaxanthin behaves unlike any other antioxidant. Most antioxidants can only protect either the water-soluble parts of a cell or the fat-soluble parts. Astaxanthin has a unique, elongated molecular structure that allows it to span the entire cell membrane, protecting both the inside and the outside of the cell simultaneously. More importantly, for our purposes, astaxanthin is one of the very few antioxidants capable of crossing the blood-retinal barrier. This means it can travel directly from your bloodstream into the delicate tissues of the inner eye. The real magic of astaxanthin for screen users lies in its ability to improve blood flow to the ciliary muscle. As we discussed earlier, staring at a screen forces this muscle into a constant spasm. This spasm restricts microcapillary blood flow, leading to a buildup of lactic acid and cellular waste, which causes that deep, aching fatigue. Clinical research, particularly pioneering studies conducted by vision scientists in Japan, has demonstrated astaxanthin's profound impact on visual accommodation. Visual accommodation is simply your eye's ability to smoothly shift focus from a near object, like a phone, to a distant object, like a clock on the wall. When you have digital eye strain, this accommodation process becomes sluggish. You look up from your screen and everything is blurry for a few seconds. The Japanese clinical trials showed that supplementing with just 5 to 6 milligrams of astaxanthin daily significantly increased the blood velocity within the capillaries feeding the ciliary muscle. By delivering more oxygen and flushing out the lactic acid, astaxanthin literally helps this tiny muscle recover from the physical trauma of prolonged focusing. Patients in these studies reported a rapid reduction in eye fatigue, decreased stiffness in the shoulders and neck, which is often referred pain from eye strain, and a faster return to clear vision when looking away from screens. Because astaxanthin is so potent, you do not need a massive dose. I recommend 4 to 6 milligrams per day, taken alongside your lutein, zeaxanthin, and omega-3s with a meal containing healthy fats. So far, we have established the physiological foundation of digital eye strain and introduced the 3 most powerful daily biological interventions, lutein and zeaxanthin, to build your macular shield against blue light and oxidative stress, high-quality triglyceride omega-3s to eliminate inflammation and rebuild the protective oil layer of your tear film, and astaxanthin to enhance blood flow and relieve the physical cramping of your focusing muscles. These 3 supplements alone, when taken daily at the correct clinical dosages, will create a massive shift in how your eyes feel by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They are the biochemical armor your eyes need to survive the modern digital workplace. However, taking vitamins is only half the equation. You can have the best biological armor in the world, but if you continue to subject your eyes to poor ergonomic habits and terrible lighting environments, you will constantly be fighting an uphill battle. In the second half of this script, we will pivot from internal nutrition to external action. I will reveal the crucial behavioral protocols, the precise environmental adjustments, and the specific daily exercises that work synergistically with these vitamins to completely eradicate computer vision syndrome and safeguard your sight for decades to come. If you continue to abuse your visual system with poor ergonomics, harsh lighting, and relentless, unbroken focus, you will eventually overpower even the strongest nutritional protocol. Your eyes are highly sensitive, complex instruments, and they require a specific operating environment to function without pain. In this second half of our journey, we are going completely hands-on. We are going to pivot from internal nutrition to external, actionable behaviors. I am going to walk you through the precise environmental adjustments, the mandatory daily behavioral protocols, and the restorative physical exercises that will work in perfect synergy with your new vitamin routine. When you combine the internal defense from the vitamins with the external protection from these habits, you will not just manage your digital eye strain. You will completely eradicate it. Let us begin with the most crucial yet most frequently ignored behavioral intervention in all of vision science, the strict implementation of the 20-20-20 rule, but we are going to look at it through a much more rigorous, scientifically validated lens. You have likely heard of this rule before. It suggests that every 20 minutes you should look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It sounds incredibly simple, perhaps even too simple to be effective, which is exactly why most people completely ignore it. But let me explain the profound, peer-reviewed biomechanics behind why this specific formula is non-negotiable for screen users. When you look at your computer monitor, your eyes are engaged in a process called visual accommodation. To keep that text sharp and clear at a distance of 20 inches, the tiny ciliary muscle inside your eye must contract tightly, which causes the lens inside your eye to bulge forward. As I mentioned in the first half of this script, holding this microscopic muscle in a state of maximum contraction for hours on end leads to severe muscular fatigue, spasms, and a buildup of metabolic waste products like lactic acid. The 20-20-20 rule is not just a suggestion to take a break, it is a precisely calculated physiological reset button. Why 20 feet? Because in the field of optometry, 20 feet, or about 6 meters, is considered optical infinity. When you look at an object at or beyond this specific distance, the light rays entering your eye are perfectly parallel. To process these parallel light rays, your ciliary muscle completely releases its tension, dropping down to a baseline resting state of zero effort. Why 20 seconds? Because clinical studies analyzing the relaxation time of the ciliary body have demonstrated that it takes an absolute minimum of 20 uninterrupted seconds for this specific muscle to fully disengage, relax its fibers, and allow fresh, oxygenated blood to flush out the accumulated cellular waste. If you look out the window for only 5 seconds and then immediately look back at your screen, you have accomplished absolutely nothing. The muscle never fully relaxed. To implement this properly, you must remove the burden of memory. Do not rely on yourself to remember to look away every 20 minutes, because when you are deep into your work, your brain will completely ignore the passage of time. You must use technology to fight technology. Download a dedicated screen timer application or set a repeating alarm on your phone. When that alarm goes off, it is a non-negotiable medical appointment for your eyes. Look out a window, look down a long hallway, find the furthest point you can see, and hold your gaze there while taking 3 deep, slow breaths. This simple, strictly enforced habit prevents the compounding muscular fatigue that leads to the debilitating end-of-day headaches and blurred vision. Moving beyond muscular fatigue, we must urgently address the physical surface of your eye and the mechanics of your blink. As we covered previously, staring at a digital device plummets your blink rate by up to 60%. But the problem is not just the frequency of the blinks, it is the quality. Extensive research from the University of California, Berkeley, and the University of Auckland's Ocular Surface Laboratory has revealed a disturbing trend among heavy computer users: the rise of the incomplete microblink. When you are highly focused on a screen, your brain slightly alters your motor functions. Instead of a full sweeping blink where your upper eyelid firmly meets your lower eyelid, you perform a partial blink. The upper lid comes down halfway and then retreats. This is catastrophic for your tear film. The lower third of your cornea, the clear front surface of your eye, remains permanently exposed to the air. The tears in this specific region evaporate rapidly, causing a localized area of severe dryness and cellular damage known as inferior punctate keratitis. This is why your eyes feel like they have sand in them by 3 in the afternoon. To fix this, you must consciously retrain your blink mechanism through an exercise I call the deliberate blink squeeze. Every time your 20-minute alarm goes off, before you look away to 20 feet, perform 3 deliberate, heavily exaggerated blinks. Close your eyes normally and then squeeze them shut tightly for a full 2 seconds. This firm squeezing action is absolutely vital. It engages the precise muscles required to compress the meibomian glands lining your eyelid margins. As we discussed in Part 1, these glands are responsible for secreting the critical lipid oil layer that seals your tears and prevents them from evaporating. The deliberate squeeze mechanically forces the fresh oil out of the glands and spreads it in a thick, protective layer across the entire surface of your eye. By pairing the deliberate blink squeeze with the 20-20-20 rule, you are simultaneously relaxing the internal focusing muscles and lubricating the external surface of the eye. It is a complete biomechanical reset, taking less than 30 seconds. Now let us move from your internal biology to your external physical environment, specifically the ergonomics of your workstation and the profound impact of ambient lighting. The American Academy of Ophthalmology has published extensive guidelines on proper screen positioning, and the consensus is clear: your monitor is almost certainly positioned incorrectly. Most people set their monitors so that their eyes are level with the center of the screen. Or worse, they work on laptops on their desks, forcing them to look sharply downward, straining their neck. The medically optimal position for a computer monitor is to have the absolute top edge of the screen exactly level with your eyes when you are sitting up straight. This means that to look at the center of the screen, your eyes must maintain a constant, slight downward gaze of about 15 to 20 degrees. Why is this specific angle so important? Because of eyelid geometry. When you look straight ahead or slightly upward, your upper eyelids retract fully, exposing the maximum possible surface area of your eyeball to the dry air of your office or home. More exposed surface area directly equals faster tear evaporation and worse dry eye symptoms. By angling your gaze slightly downward, your upper eyelids naturally drape lower over the top portion of your eyes. This simple geometric shift significantly reduces the exposed surface area of your cornea, physically trapping more moisture beneath the lid and drastically cutting down on the rate of tear evaporation. If you are using a laptop as your primary machine, you are severely compromising your visual and spinal health. You must invest in a laptop stand to elevate the screen to the correct height and use an external keyboard and mouse to keep your shoulders relaxed. Next, we must ruthlessly optimize your lighting environment. The human eye is designed to process light primarily from the sun, a single incredibly bright overhead source that provides a massive amount of ambient illumination. Digital screens, however, are essentially powerful light bulbs shining directly into your face from 2 feet away, often in rooms that are too dim. This creates a severe contrast mismatch. When your room is dim but your screen is bright, your pupils are constantly forced to fluctuate, trying to find a compromise between the bright rectangle and the dark background. This rapid, continuous pupillary adjustment causes profound fatigue in the iris muscles. Furthermore, glaring overhead fluorescent lights or sunlight streaming directly onto your screen from a window behind you creates visual noise that forces your visual cortex to work twice as hard to decode the text. The golden rule of workspace lighting, backed by ergonomic studies from Cornell University, is to equalize the brightness. The ambient lighting in your room should perfectly match the brightness of your screen. You can test this easily. Hold a blank piece of white printer paper next to your monitor while a white document is open on the screen. If the screen looks like a glowing light source compared to the paper, your screen is way too bright or your room is way too dark. Adjust your monitor's brightness settings until the white on the screen visually matches the white of the paper in your current room lighting. Additionally, you must absolutely eliminate screen glare. Position your monitor so that windows are entirely to your side, never directly in front of you or directly behind you. If you work in an office with harsh overhead fluorescent lighting, use an anti-glare screen protector or wear glasses with a high-quality anti-reflective coating. This coating prevents light from bouncing off the lenses into your eyes, instantly reducing the workload on your visual processing centers. Let us transition to a critical concept that bridges your daily habits with your systemic health: total body hydration and its direct chemical effect on your tear osmolarity. We talked extensively about the oil layer of your tears, but the thickest layer is the aqueous or watery layer. When you do not drink enough water, your entire body becomes dehydrated, and your tear glands are not exempt from this process. When your body is low on water, the tears it produces become highly concentrated with salts and electrolytes. In medical terms, this is called high tear osmolarity, and it is a hallmark sign of clinical dry eye disease. High osmolarity tears are hypertonic. They literally draw water out of the delicate surface cells of your cornea through osmosis, causing severe cellular damage, inflammation, and that constant burning sensation. You cannot out-supplement dehydration. You can take all the omega-3s in the world, but if you do not provide your body with the raw water required to produce the aqueous layer, your tears will remain toxic to your own eyes. The clinical recommendation is non-negotiable. You must consume half your body weight in ounces of water every single day. If you weigh 160 pounds, you need 80 ounces of pure water daily. Coffee, tea, and soda do not count toward this total, as caffeine acts as a mild diuretic, potentially worsening the dehydration. Keep a large measured water bottle on your desk and make it a habit to take a long drink every time your 20-minute eye break alarm sounds. Finally, we must discuss the absolute most important recovery period for your eyes, which dictates how they will feel the entire next day, your nighttime protocol, and the science of ocular sleep hygiene. The damage you do to your eyes during the day is repaired at night. During deep sleep, your body ramps up cellular regeneration, clears out the metabolic waste from your ciliary muscles, and allows your tear glands to rest and replenish. However, this entire regenerative process is governed by a delicate hormonal cascade, primarily driven by melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that tells your brain and body it is time to shut down and repair. The production of melatonin is strictly controlled by a specific type of light receptor in your retina called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. These particular cells do not help you see shapes or colors. Their sole purpose is to detect ambient light levels, specifically the high-energy blue light emitted by the sun and by your digital screens. When you stare at your phone or tablet in bed at 10 o'clock at night, you are blasting these specialized receptors with a concentrated beam of blue light. Bright screens at night send a false signal to your pineal gland, shutting down melatonin and delaying sleep by up to 90 minutes. Without deep, restorative sleep, your eyes cannot heal, leaving them dry and fatigued before the day even begins. The fix is strict but effective. Enforce a digital sunset. No screens for 1 hour before bed. Use that time for a book, a warm shower, or a podcast. If late-night work is unavoidable, wear amber-tinted blue light-blocking glasses. Software filters alone aren't enough. By respecting your body's natural rhythm of light and darkness, you give your eyes the healing they need. Combined with foundational nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin for macular protection, omega-3s for tear film stability, and astaxanthin for muscle recovery, you now have the complete blueprint to reverse digital eye strain. By honoring your body's natural rhythm of light and darkness, you give your eyes the deep healing they need. We've now built the complete blueprint for reversing digital eye strain. In Part 1, we fortified your biology with clinical-grade nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin to shield the macula, omega-3s to stabilize the tear film, and astaxanthin to clear fatigue from your focusing muscles. In Part 2, we locked in the habits that let those nutrients work. The 20-20-20 rule, deliberate blink squeezes, optimized screen ergonomics, hydration, and strict sleep hygiene.